19 co-defendants in the Georgia indictment against former President Donald Trump have now turned themselves in to authorities, each one receiving a mugshot in Fulton County. Happening today, one of Mr. Trump's co-defendants, his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, is expected to make an appearance at the federal courthouse in Atlanta. Atlanta News first reporter Rebecca Schramm is joining us live right now. Rebecca, Meadows is asking a judge to move this case to federal court.
He is, Gravier. Good morning to you. Attorneys for Mark Meadows say the reason their client's case should be moved here to federal court is because he was a federal employee carrying out his official duties at the time of the alleged crimes. Now, Meadows was the first of the defendants to make this request. 4 others have also done so, including the 3 alleged fake electors named in the indictment. They claim they should be immune from state prosecution since they were carrying out a federal function from the sitting president, and that they only served as quote-unquote alternate electors because former President Donald Trump asked them to. Trump himself is expected to also ask that the case be moved to federal court. But today, Meadows' lawyers will have the floor as they look for potentially a friendlier jury pool in federal court than what they'd likely have in Fulton County. We've also learned that one of the 4 people subpoenaed to testify in this hearing today is Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. He was on the other end of that phone call in which Trump said he wanted to find enough votes to win Georgia. No cameras are allowed in federal court, but we will be listening in today, and we'll of course let you know what happens. Live at the federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Rebecca, thanks very much. 9 minutes after 6 now, and for in-depth coverage of the Fulton County indictment, go to atlantanewsfirst.com and download our free app. We've got a timeline of how we got to this point. You can also get the latest on what comes next.